Good evening, folks. This is Deb Delapierre, and this is your short take. It is Monday, the 10th of July, and we're going to talk about the pretenders to the Democratic Party presidential throne tonight. So let's talk about who we have here that's challenging Joe Biden. Okay? So let me start by saying that what got me off on this tangent is I'm floating around in one of my Facebook groups after making a post. And some guy says to me, well, Joe Biden hasn't convinced me yet. Well, okay. Well, clearly this is a person who doesn't understand where we are in American history right now. He clearly thinks this is just like another election because, in fact, when I went to his timeline, his little inset photo is a picture of himself that says, I voted for Bernie. Well, I'd like to remind all the Bernie bros out there, Bernie Sanders isn't running, and Bernie Sanders has already endorsed Joe Biden, as has, by the way, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and Pramila Jayapal. And Jayapal actually says that Joe Biden deserves a second term to finish the job that he started with the Progressive Caucus. So let's start there. And then let's talk about the challengers to Joe Biden. Number one, Marianne Williamson, the little kumbaya queen, the woman who writes self-help books about God and how to be happy and sweet and kind, is imploding even earlier than she did in 2020. So she is not only working on her third campaign manager already, but her entire South Carolina staff has quit. So they're alleging a toxic work environment, which is the same thing that caused other people to quit in 2020. And then in 2020, she actually fired her entire staff. Marianne Williamson is not qualified to be president of the United States, even if it were good times here. She is ill-equipped to deal with the mess in Washington right now. She is ill everything. Ill-equipped to deal with fascism on the scale that it is here right now. Any of you people thinking that this is just like 2016, just like 2008, 2004, whatever you want to think, this is nothing like that. We are on the doorstep of fascism, all right? Marianne Williamson should go home, write another book, and make some more money. I'm not going to be nice here. The second challenger to Joe Biden is a man who claims to be a Democrat, but spent the weekend with the Moms for Liberty this weekend. A man who has vowed to gut the agencies that control vaccines and to order the DOJ to investigate medical journals. Yes, none other than RFK Jr., Looney Tune of the decade, the biggest medical misinformer of the 12 that were designated by the Center for Countering Digital Hate as the 12 virulent medical misinformers who caused all of our medical misinformation during the COVID pandemic. He is still at it. All right. This is a candidate who, at 51 years old, spends his time showing pictures of himself bare-chested because he's jacked. And all the women just seem to fall right in line with that. Wake up, okay? The man is not a Democrat, number one. He is a distraction. He is a zero. In his best day, he was a trust fund activist. His father left him $50 million when he was shot and killed. All right. And he is no Robert F. Kennedy Sr. He's not even close. His whole family is backing Joe Biden. Now, number three, let's talk about third parties. Let's talk about Cornel West. And let's talk about Jill Stein, who is helping Cornel West make a people-powered movement. The only movement people need to make right now is to block fascism. The GOP is in control of the House. You have seen what they have spent their time doing since they won the midterms. The Senate, we have a 2-seat lead, which amounts to a no-seat lead, depending upon the legislation that Joe Biden and the legislature is trying to pass. Because as far as I'm concerned, Joe Manchin and Sinema just about even out the Senate. If the House is maintained or expanded by the GOP in 2024, and if they take the Senate, what you will see, regardless of who is president, is legislation that will create a national ban on abortion, a national ban on transgenderism, more tax breaks for the wealthy, and people like Ron DeSantis and his plans spreading like wildfire across this country. That is what you will see. Cornel West doesn't give a shit about the American people. Cornel West is an attention whore. He always has been. And as far as Jill Stein is concerned, she should know better. These two know exactly where we are in American history. She's a has-been who's looking to be a relevant whatever she is again, okay? She is a climber. She is nothing more than that, all right? She isn't the savior. And by the way, the original Green Party candidate, Ralph Nader, is encouraging people to vote Democrat because he does indeed understand exactly where we are in history right now. This is not just like any other election. The midterms weren't just like any other midterm, but yet only 52% of registered Democrats bothered to get off their asses and do something about it. And they gave up the House. So congratulations, because you put us right where we are today by not voting. You gave us Donald Trump in 2016 by not voting. And that article was in Forbes. So, you know, and it was in several other magazines as well. The Democratic Party had an anemic turnout in 2016 because they weren't interested in Hillary Clinton for whatever reason, because maybe they bought into Russian disinformation, whatever. But that's how we got Donald Trump, because there is no way he won because he's popular. In fact, he lost the popular vote. He won because the Democratic voters didn't bother to show up at the polls. We're going to repeat that process again here. If you let Donald Trump back in, he will be 10 times worse than he already is. He's already promising retribution and authoritarian dictatorship. Okay? He's already making his stump speeches on that. I advise you all to wake up. And as far as Jill Stein and Cornel West are concerned, shame on them. All they can do is take votes away from Joe Biden, and they will not go anywhere. By the way, the People's Party is dead in the water. They still have to even get on a ballot somewhere. So don't waste your vote, because that's really all it is. You're not proving a goddamn thing by voting for Cornel West, except that you can be duped, just like everyone else is when they vote third party. I was duped when I voted for Jill Stein. That'll never happen again. Wake up, folks. This isn't a joke, and this isn't a drill. If this is what you've got to go against Joe Biden, who has actually done amazing things in the light of all of the obstruction in his way, he managed to get railroad workers sick time. Not even talking about that. No one's even talking about how he persevered after that whole strike debacle, and he got them what they got them, and they publicly thanked him, by the way. A man who has fought from the beginning for women's body autonomy and to protect the LGBTQ community. All right? He has. He's done everything he possibly can from where he's sitting. But, you know, he can't do much when the House is owned by the GOP and the Senate is only a 2-seat lead. He tried to codify Roe v. Wade before the overturn of the House. And he couldn't get one person from the GOP to cross the aisle to help out, not even the women. So please, wake up, folks. This is not a drill. I'll talk to you all later.